NCTV45, The Train, anytime on your time.
This program was provided through funding from Cedars Restaurant in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. A special thanks to Cedars, featuring Middle Eastern, Italian, and American cuisine.
This program paid for by a grant from RNA Screen Printing, located at 1217 Moravia Street, Newcastle.
Today's program was furnished by a grant from the Beanery Depot and Deli, featuring coffee, made-to-order subs, and snacks. The Beanery Depot and Deli in Mahoningtown.
Welcome back to the Cedars Sports Corner, everybody. I'm Alex DeLaverson, and I'm going to be going solo today, as Greg the Mad Scientist Bechero is not with me, and the Value Man is not with me either, but he has some interesting fantasy football advice and information that he'd like to share with you. It's been a while since we've done fantasy football here on the show, but we are back in action. We have the first week of NFL under our belt, and let's just jump right into it. So, via the Value Man, he has his new segment, which he calls Not So Fast. And what this is the top 5 overreactions from week 1 in fantasy football. His number 5 reaction: Matt Stafford, Alex Smith, and Sam Bradford are must-starts. The Value Man says they all had incredible week 1s and certainly could be great fantasy players, but don't go automatically starting them over Cam, Brady, or Aaron Rodgers. Stafford and Bradford especially were playing against less than stellar defenses, and quarterback is almost becoming as much of a crapshoot. And I do agree with that, and especially when you're going into your draft, I feel like there's maybe 2 quarterbacks usually that you want to get first: Aaron Rodgers and Andrew Luck when he's healthy. And other than that, I feel like there's quite a considerable drop-off to where you might not even have to draft a quarterback until the later rounds, or even pick one up in free agency if needed. His number 4, not so fast. Big week 1 tight end performances are a sign for a big season. And this is a good one, especially for Steeler fans who watched the game against the Browns and saw Jesse the Outlaw James, or Jesse James the Outlaw, however you want to call him, have a big game. He had 2 touchdowns, but the Value Man says not to jump right on the bandwagon just yet. They still have Vance McDonald in there for a reason, and although he is a great talent, he doesn't have enough volume for consistency. One week he could have 2 touchdowns, and the next week he could have 2 catches for 10 yards. So, and I think I agree with him there, but my whole thing would be, as a Steeler fan, I think it's pretty safe to say that all Steeler fans know how important tight ends are to Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers' offense when getting into the red zone. So I feel as if you have a weakness at tight end, I should say, Jesse James is a great pickup to add to your depth chart. So Value Man would disagree, but I think if you're thin at the tight end position, go ahead and add him. And Austin Hooper had a great game. He had an 80-yard touchdown, but other than that, he just had 3 receptions for 20 yards. So take it for what it's worth, but I do agree with him on not jumping to get Austin Hooper just yet. Houston and New England defenses should be dropped. That is the Value Man's number 3, not so fast, and overreaction. So here's the deal. Talk about terrible starts for a defense, especially against a Jacksonville team with no quarterback. They both still have great teams defensively and will, be good plays more often than not. But at the same time, don't think the Rams will always be a top 5 defense, and Indianapolis without Andrew Luck is pretty much a high school team. However, I would like to point out to the Value Man there is one guy that he's forgetting, and his name is Aaron Donald, who I believe is the best defensive player in the NFL right now. But that's a conversation for another day. The Value Man's number 2 overreaction. Tom Brady is done as a relevant fantasy quarterback. From the Value Man, are you serious? He had one bad game, and the Patriots always take what is given. The Chiefs dropped 7 in coverage every play, and that's why Gillespie had the solid performance of the team. Do I expect Brady to have 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns? No way, but he's still a definite top 5 fantasy quarterback. And that is true. He's Tom Brady. The New England Patriots are a systematic offense. He's going to get you a high number of points. So don't overthink that one. Oh, and something I like to point out, and I think our producer will appreciate this. The last 3 times the Patriots lost their first game of the season and started out 0-1, they won the Super Bowl. Think about that. And last time...
Let's go, Ben!
Oh, goodness gracious. So, the Value Man's number 1 not so fast overreaction. I drafted David Johnson or Le'Veon Bell early, and my season is over. That is kind of soul-crushing if you drafted David Johnson, and now that he's injured and out, that is going to, let's be realistic, that is going to crush anybody's spirit. So what can you really do? But James Dotson says, as Aaron Rodgers likes to say, RELAX, relax, David Johnson owners. Go after Kerwin Williams on waivers. Also look for Chicago rookie Terry Cohan and Baltimore backup Buck Allen with Danny Made of Glass Woodhead out of commission. As for Le'Veon Bell, he is in preseason mode. He's a step slower than he should be, but he will bounce out of it. Don't go crazy. Just work that waiver wire and improve your team each and every week. And I agree with him for the most part. Le'Veon Bell, missed training camp. You wonder how much that affected his rhythm, and the coordinators trusted him. But we'll get to that later. But that wraps up our first segment, and now a word from our sponsors.
Funding for this program furnished by Big Paulie's Sports Bar, Long Avenue, Newcastle. This program furnished by the MAD Unit, Mobile Auto Detailing. See Michael Sad at themadunit.com. Funding provided by Main Street Clothiers and Tailors, Washington Street, Newcastle.
Welcome back to the Cedars Sports Quarter, everybody. Alex DeLaverson here, and now we are going to be talking some Steeler football, and this is kind of a bittersweet week for Steeler fans because we watched a Steelers victory, of course, but we also watched pretty much garbage play by the Steelers.
Now, it's a tradition that the Steelers do not play a good game against lousy competition. They just don't.
That's very true, and that's very alarming. And we were talking about during the break how once in a while is one thing, but to have this happen on such a consistent basis, that's not good. I mean, who does it fall on? Is it the coaching? What is it?
I just think it's a tradition. It's happened in the 70s. It happened in the 80s. It happens in the 90s. And now you're looking at a whole new millennium, and it's happening still. It's just Steeler football.
Well, yeah, and I agree that is Steeler football, but look at the standard of the NFL. Look at the New England Patriots. I know every Steeler fan hates the New England Patriots, but as me and our producer were talking during the break, the Patriots, they do get upset from time to time by a lower tier opponent, just like this past weekend. Although I wouldn't say the Chiefs are really lower tier. They're a playoff team. But the point is, when that happens, it's very rare. And the
Little League?
what?
Playoff team for Little League?
Yeah, playoff team.
Like, okay, the Raiders are like looking good. Who in the West?
The Chiefs. They're not. Did you see Kareem Hunt?
They'll get punished, and I don't even like the Raiders. I mean, like the Raiders less than I like the Patriots.
Listen. Oh boy. I feel like you think with emotion, and I think with like intelligence. I'm just messing, kind of. But with all seriousness though, the thing with the Patriots and the Steelers is that the last 3 times the Patriots started out 0-1, what happened? They went and won the Super Bowl. The Steelers play to the level of their competition all the time, and when they do win, it's maybe 3 points, 1 touchdown, and they get upset a handful of times. To me, that is a coaching thing. Mike Tomlin is known to be kind of a buddy-buddy type of coach, but at the same time, it's not like something he could get fired for. I mean, he's been to the Super Bowl twice and has won one Super Bowl. And
Who's won more Super Bowls, Brady or Big Ben?
Brady.
No.
Brady's won 5 Super Bowls.
And Ben?
2.
2.
Yeah.
Who's been in more Super Bowls?
Brady.
And who gets more penalties called against them as defensive
Oh,
backs
man.
and everything? Who's been apologized more to than any other team in the NFL? The Steelers.
Okay. See, that is the thing, because I do feel like the Steelers have not adjusted to the rest of the NFL in terms of these headshots.
You're getting apologized to. Oops, we called that and it wasn't supposed to be. I'm so totally sorry. You would have won the game if we would have called it. Look at the first Super Bowl that the Patriots had. The Rams wide receivers, the mothers of those wide receivers got jealous because they were being hugged more by the Patriot defensive backs than anybody else, including their mothers.
Listen, I don't like the Patriots as much as anyone else, so I'm not going to really argue with that. But look, the bottom line is, I feel like with the Steelers, there's not enough consistency or rhythm. Bell's going to be fine. Le'Veon Bell's going to be fine. You wonder how much him not being at camp disrupted his rhythm and the coordinator's trust in him being able to handle the plays and all that. I think it shouldn't be too much, but Antonio Brown, once again, showed up. Over 10 receptions, over 120-some yards. I kind of feel like he really won the game. And I am encouraged for the most part with the Steelers' defense. The offense wasn't on, especially the first half. When the offense was on the field, they were off fast. The defense didn't get much rest. So if the Steelers' offense was playing, I would say, even at a moderate level, I feel like the defense would have continued to really stomp them, but they were getting tired. I feel like Kaiser and the Browns offense were able to take advantage of that. And, I'm still encouraged with the additions of, Joe Hayden. And
everybody gets, the Patriots get a pass. Oh my. The Steelers never get a pass. The Steelers have surpassed the Cowboys. The Steelers have surpassed everybody as America's team. Whenever they show somebody winning, it's always they're winning against the Steelers. It's like Notre Dame syndrome. I firmly believe that you can have Notre Dame syndrome. Notre Dame's everybody's Super Bowl, and the Steelers likewise, are everybody's Super Bowl, everybody's big game, everybody's must win.
And, speaking of big games and must-wins, what we're going to talk about here in our next segment is this whole Pitt-Penn State rivalry debate and James Franklin's controversial remarks. So we're going to talk about the next session. I'm sure our producer's going to have a whole bunch of opinions for us here. So make sure to join us. And now a word from our sponsors.
Today's programming is brought to you by NCTV45 and NC Radio 450, Newcastle's community television station. Mr. Pizza provided a grant for this program. Mr. Pizza, East Washington Street. This program furnished by Sporting Goods, 23 East Washington Street, Newcastle. Call 724-658-2535. These fine businesses provided funding for this program. Gatherings, Town and Country, and On Target.
Welcome back to the Cedars Sports Corner, everybody. I hope you enjoyed our first two segments, and now we're on to the final segment of our show. And once again, Angelo, our producer, and myself are going to be having some strong opinions, and in this segment, we're going to be talking, is Pitt and Penn State still a rivalry? Is Pitt still a big enough rival for Penn State? And were James Franklin's comments out of line?
Well, first of all, the auxiliary name for Penn State is Notre Dame wannabes. They were never any better than anybody else. No offense, Joe, but you play the Little Sisters of the Poor, rice, wheat, and barley, and then you'd have a big game against Rutgers. And then you go back and you go in the tank again, and then you'd have a big game against West Virginia. Okay? Penn State was able to remain healthy and win the one big bowl game that they had.
See, we have people calling in right now. They're so angry right now that they're calling other lines to get to you to tell you how crazy you are and how crazy I am. But with all seriousness, though, with college football, you're gonna have your decent-sized troll fans, and as far as Penn State being Notre Dame wannabes, I kind of feel like everyone wants to be Notre Dame in the sense of getting that television contract.
You agreed.
Well, yeah.
Not just for the contract. Listen, Notre Dame has two types of people: love them and hate them.
Yeah.
In the game against Georgia, Jimmy Carter made the call. I mean, you have an official looking right down the line. You have the ball being bobbled, no football play being made. There's no conclusive evidence to overturn the call, except what somebody says up in the booth and says, "Oh, it's a catch." Well, what the heck? That was we'll make the call from Georgia and say it's okay.
Very well then.
But Pitt is every bit their equal. All I heard all week was Pitt's going to lose 49-0.
That is true. And they did kind of earn that line of thought because of the YSU game.
Well, excuse me. YSU has a good team.
No, look. They do, and they're a contender for the national title in FCS subdivision. But perception is everything, whether it's fair or unfair. When you go to overtime with an FCS team, that perception is going to happen. Now, anyone who watched that game knows Pitt was up 21-0, and then they fell asleep, and then the rest is history. But again, perception is everything. But as far as Pitt being Penn State's equal, I would agree for the most part. Listen, Pitt beat Penn State last year, and that was the loss that kept them out of the Final Four. And here's the deal. Is Penn State a bigger brand name than Pitt? Of course. Does Penn State have more history than Pitt?
Well, here's the thing. Brand name, Penn State markets itself better.
It's a larger
than
state
Pitt.
school. Yeah.
Okay. Pitt could be a brand name if they didn't shoot themselves in the foot.
Well, yeah, and I would agree. Listen,
And you know what? I got to tell you something else, too. Notre Dame's a national brand.
of course, Penn State is as well.
No, Penn State's a regional brand. And I'll prove it to you. When you think of television, Notre Dame's on national TV. The only way Penn State gets on national TV is if they're playing for a place. First place, a bowl game. Otherwise, their games are regional, just as Texas would be, just as Michigan would be, Ohio State, Florida, Florida State. Now, they got a little bit larger regional brand, okay, that they might go up to New England and down to Maryland or Virginia and over to halfway across Ohio. But Pitt's going to command a smaller region. But no, Notre Dame USC game would be on nationally if both teams were 0-2.
Okay, now here's the thing. That's going to take another segment to really dissect everything you said and for me to kind of give you my opinions. And I really don't want to get off track because I know we're limited.
Notre Dame leprechaun.
Listen, Notre Dame is the brand of college football. That's true. But we're talking Pitt and Penn State. In terms of equal, yes, Pitt can beat Penn State. They beat them last year. And not like Penn State completely blew out Pitt this year. The thing with Penn State fans and Penn State alumni is that basically it's why should Pitt be our rival when they don't show up to play?
What? No, it's why should Pitt be our rival when we can play Temple and beat them?
Well, that's what I'm getting.
fans.
Well, that's what I'm getting to. Their schedule typically is, you have 6 teams for like Coastal Carolina or Kent State.
I go back to the 70s where Penn State opened up with Villanova and then played Temple. And then would play a little upscale Maryland team on their way to play West Virginia. Then they would play Rutgers. They always have an easy game following a big game. Then they would play Rutgers. Then they would play Syracuse. Then they would play Boston College on their way to play a bigger game with Pitt. That's what's constantly done. You know, if you look at their games over a 30, 40-year period, they play a cream puff before and a cream puff after. And that's my gripe.
Well, see, and that's kind of the dilemma Penn State fans are in, and the administration is, if Penn State wants to get to the Final Four, they do need to schedule tougher non-conference games, and it's, in their eyes, is Pitt really a tougher non-conference game for them? Last year, yeah, they beat them. They had a better team. This year, no. It's going to be different every year.
But they want guaranteed money and guaranteed win. They want Buffalo. They want East Carolina. They want Temple. They want Villanova.
They're not going to the Final Four that way.
They don't want. Here's what they don't want.
And they view Pitt as that same level, and I don't.
They don't want Pitt, where Pitt could upset them like last year.
I agree. That's
and
the
leave
that's
them at home.
And I agree. I agree.
So what's the easiest thing to say? Oh, Pitt's a subdivision. They're no competition.
But they beat them.
That's what the easiest thing to say is.
Yeah. Now, what do you feel? How do you feel about James Franklin's comments? He said Pitt beating Penn State last year, that was their Super Bowl. this year Penn State beating them is like the equivalent of beating Akron.
No. What Franklin doesn't realize is he's bought into the Notre Dame wannabe club. Okay, we're Penn State and we're tough. It's not that. It's not all that. Okay, what you've seen is a leveling among the conferences. Okay, the Big Ten isn't the big guy on the stage anymore. You've also seen the only one that plays a true national schedule is Notre Dame. Notre Dame doesn't go up against any Division I AA opponents, or the new name for them, whatever that is. Notre Dame played Temple last year in a major bowl. Notre Dame played Georgia's in a major bowl. Okay, Penn State played Akron. They ate at a major spaghetti bowl place. I don't know what it was called, maybe Cheerios or Us. You know, Penn State is no more. They are now an Iowa and Indiana. Okay, Michigan and Michigan and Ohio State, excuse me, are still the big brand names in the Big Ten.
Yeah, now, but that could change this year. If Penn State wins out,
1 year doesn't make it. Okay, Nebraska and Penn State are on the same level. They're major regionals.
okay, again, that's going to be something we're going to have to debate for another day. And I do kind of want to have a show dedicated to that. So this was a Penn State / Notre Dame segment. Our producer found a way to make this Penn State segment a Notre Dame segment, but that is something we are going to be talking moving forward. But thank you all for joining in for this episode of the Cedars Sports Corner, and I hope you all have a very wonderful rest of the week. Make sure to tune in next time. Thank you, guys.
Funding provided by Four Brothers in downtown Newcastle. A special thanks to the YMCA for caring about the Lawrence County community and providing funding for this program.